I always believed the biggest financial mistakes happened to other families, not ours. Ryan and I weren't rich, but we were responsible, or at least that's what I believed for 14 years. My name is Jennifer Collins. I'm 41 years old. My husband Ryan and I live in a quiet suburb outside Indianapolis, Indiana. I work as a registered nurse. Ryan manages commercial construction projects. We lived what most people would call an ordinary American life. We made our mortgage payment every month. We drove reliable used cars. We contributed to our retirement accounts. We saved for our daughter's college fund. Nothing about our life looked unusual until the phone started ringing. At first, I ignored the calls. Unknown numbers usually meant telemarketers, but they kept coming, morning, afternoon, even late at night. One afternoon, I finally answered. The woman on the other end asked a question that instantly made my heart race. May I speak with Ryan Collins regarding his past due account? Past due account? I assumed she had the wrong number. My husband doesn't have any past due accounts. She paused. I'm sorry, ma'am, but this balance has been overdue for 63 days. 63 days? I thanked her and hung up. Ryan had never mentioned anything about overdue payments. That evening, I casually asked, "Did someone steal your identity?" He looked confused. What do you mean? I told him about the collection call. His face changed, just for a second. Then he smiled. Oh, that's probably an old medical bill. It sounded believable. People make billing mistakes all the time. I let it go. Looking back, I wish I hadn't. Over the next month, little things stopped making sense. Ryan became strangely protective of his phone. He stayed awake long after I went to bed. He started disappearing into the garage for hours. Whenever I walked in, he quickly locked his screen. I convinced myself everyone deserves privacy, but something felt different. Then our checking account dropped below $300. That had never happened before. I logged into our online banking app. The balance wasn't wrong, it was real. I checked the transactions. Nothing unusual. Mortgage payment, utilities, groceries, gas. Everything looked normal, except for one thing. Several cash withdrawals, each one just under $1,000. Not once, not twice, more than a dozen times. I immediately called Ryan. Did you take cash out of the account? There was a long silence. Then he answered, Yeah, for a construction project. That didn't make sense. His company reimbursed expenses directly. He had never needed cash before. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't believe him. A week later, another letter arrived. This time, it wasn't from a collection agency. It was from one of our credit card companies. I opened it without thinking. The available credit shocked me. Almost nothing remained. The balance had climbed to nearly $48,000. My hands started shaking. Ryan had always handled the credit card payments. I trusted him completely. Now, I wasn't sure I knew our finances at all. When Ryan came home that evening, I placed the statement on the kitchen table. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse him. I simply asked, Ryan, what's going on? He looked at the statement, closed his eyes, and quietly whispered, It started with one bet. For a moment, I couldn't speak. It started with one bet. Those 6 words echoed in my head. I stared at Ryan, waiting for him to laugh and tell me it was some terrible joke. He didn't. Instead, he pulled out a chair, sat down, and buried his face in his hands. I never meant for this to happen. I looked at the credit card statement again. Nearly $48,000. Our checking account was almost empty. Collection calls, cash withdrawals. Nothing about this felt small anymore. I took a slow breath. What bet? Ryan rubbed his forehead. Last year, one of the guys at work convinced me to download a sports betting app. It was just supposed to be for fun. $20 on a football game. I actually won. He gave a weak smile. I thought maybe I was lucky. That smile disappeared almost instantly. So I placed another bet. Then another. Then another. Some weekends he won. Most weekends he didn't. Every loss made him believe the next win would fix everything. It never did. Instead, he started chasing his losses. At first, he used spending money, then our emergency fund. When that was gone, he started using credit cards. When the credit cards reached their limits, he took cash advances. Every decision was supposed to be temporary. Every decision made the next one worse. I asked him quietly, "How much?" He looked at the floor. "I don't know the exact number." That answer terrified me. So I logged into every account we owned: savings, checking, credit cards, our home equity line. One by one, the truth appeared. Credit card 1, $48,327. Credit card 2, $21,904. Personal line of credit, $15,600. Cash advances, thousands more. The total kept growing. By the time I finished, I couldn't breathe. Ryan hadn't hidden thousands of dollars. He had hidden almost $92,000 in gambling-related debt. I pushed my laptop away. I felt sick. For 14 years, I thought we shared every financial decision. Instead, I'd been living beside a secret. Then, my phone buzzed. It was our bank. The representative explained our mortgage payment had been returned because there weren't enough funds in the account. Returned? We had never, not once, missed a mortgage payment. Not in 14 years. I looked at Ryan. He couldn't even meet my eyes. I was going to replace it before the payment came out. I'd heard those words before. Not from Ryan. From people telling themselves tomorrow would fix today's mistake. Tomorrow never came. The next morning, I checked our credit scores. Mine had dropped over 90 points. Ryan's had fallen even further. Years of responsible financial habits damaged in just a few months. That afternoon, I called our financial advisor. He reviewed everything. When I finished explaining, he stayed silent for several seconds. Finally, he said, "This isn't just a debt problem. It's an addiction problem." Those words changed how I saw everything. Ryan wasn't hiding money because he wanted a luxury lifestyle. He wasn't having an affair. He wasn't secretly buying expensive things. He was trapped inside a cycle where every loss convinced him the next bet would save us. It wasn't logical. It was addiction. Understanding that didn't erase the damage, but it finally explained why the man I'd trusted for 14 years had become someone I barely recognized. The next morning, someone knocked on our front door. When I opened it, I saw a certified legal notice with our names on it, and my heart sank. My hands were shaking as I signed for the certified envelope. The sender's name stopped me cold. A law firm representing one of Ryan's credit card companies. I closed the front door, sat down at the kitchen table, and slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a formal notice. If the past due balance wasn't resolved, legal action could follow. I felt sick. For 14 years, we had built a life one paycheck at a time. Now, it felt like everything was unraveling. Ryan walked into the kitchen. The moment he saw the envelope, he didn't ask what it was. He already knew. He quietly sat across from me. "I'm done running from this." For the first time in months, I believed him. Not because of what he said, because of how he looked. The excuses were gone. The denial was gone. All that remained was a man who finally realized what his addiction had cost. That afternoon, Ryan made a decision I never asked him to make. He deleted every gambling app from his phone. Then, he enrolled in a gambling recovery program. He also asked his bank to permanently block gambling-related transactions on every account in his name. It wasn't a magic solution, but it was the first real step toward recovery. The following week, we met with a nonprofit credit counselor. Together, we listed every debt, every payment, every missed bill, every dollar. The final number was almost impossible to look at: $91,831. Not just money, years of our future. The counselor didn't judge Ryan. Instead, she gave us something we desperately needed: a realistic plan. We closed unnecessary credit accounts. We canceled subscriptions we barely used. We sold Ryan's pickup truck and replaced it with an older, used vehicle. I picked up extra weekend nursing shifts. Ryan accepted additional construction projects whenever they became available. Every extra dollar went toward paying off debt. But rebuilding our finances was actually the easier part. Rebuilding trust was much harder. For months, I checked every bank account, every credit card, every transaction. Not because I wanted to control Ryan, because trust had to be earned again. At first, he understood. Eventually, he thanked me, because accountability became part of his recovery. Almost 18 months later, our lives looked very different. The debt wasn't completely gone, but more than half had been paid off. Our mortgage was current again. Our emergency fund was slowly growing. Most importantly, Ryan had stayed away from gambling. One evening, our daughter asked why we hadn't taken a family vacation in so long. Ryan looked at her, then looked at me. He could have made another excuse. Instead, he told the truth. I made some bad financial decisions. I'm working every day to fix them. Our daughter simply nodded, then hugged him. Watching that moment, I realized something important. Recovery doesn't begin when the debt disappears. It begins when the lies stop. Today, Ryan still attends recovery meetings. We still hold a family budget meeting every month. Every financial account is completely transparent. No hidden passwords, no secret credit cards, no unexplained withdrawals. Just honest conversations, even when they're uncomfortable. Looking back, the gambling addiction nearly cost us our home. It nearly destroyed our savings. It nearly ended our marriage. But the biggest mistake wasn't Ryan placing that first bet. It was believing he had to fight the addiction alone. Addiction may begin in secret, but recovery begins with honesty. The first step towards saving your finances is telling the truth before the debt becomes bigger than the people you love. Be honest. What would you have done if you discovered your spouse had secretly hidden $92,000 in gambling debt? Would you fight to save the marriage? Or would the broken trust be too much to overcome? Leave a comment. If this story meant something to you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real money stories from Dollar Confessions.